I think there are a few things more terrifying than Chris Cody counting you down into a live program.
Not my best effort, that counting. We're going to get better, though. It's a long
week. The counts
week.
are different, though.
We did a 45, a 15, a 30, a 15, and then another 20, it felt like.
And somehow your first words were worse than all of it.
So this is where I have to be transparent.
I've been waiting for you, Pablo.
I know. This is where I have to be super transparent. Dan is worried about all of this. Okay? Dan has texted me, quote, "You and David will have to make a game plan to make it seem like regular show, comma, especially first day." And that's how we started.
Well, it already feels like regular show because I screwed up. So here we are.
So wait, this is also where we have to officially establish that Chris Cody is running things right now. Jess, Tony, David, that's our captain now. I'm pointing at Chris.
I could tell that there was going to be a difference. So I don't know. Did you respond to Dan yet, or you just let it go?
I said, "Yup, period. We'll strategize," and it turned out that I just started mumbling as soon as the microphone.
You know,
turned
you should have
on.
written back to him. Not helpful.
At all. At all. So the meeting, I noticed, it's a little quieter here because there's so much going on. There's people spread everywhere. So we're lucky enough. Jessica's here with Tony and Chris. Chris in the chair. Now, you have to know when he's in the chair how it works because you're finally here, and we've been waiting.
It's good to be back, guys. Thank you for the welcome.
There was no welcome at all.
Hold on, where's the soundboard?
You have everything here at your disposal. You can press any button you want, but you're supposed to do it faster.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
I deserve that.
When Chris is in the chair, just know that you can't look to him for the count. He's established that. So you have to be paying attention to the clock when we're starting, when we're live, and you've got to be ready to go and count down and count yourself in.
I don't like the pep talk that I'm getting right now. How about you guys?
I got one rule today and this week. Fun. Yeah. Let's have some fun, man. That's when I'm in this chair. Don't worry. Everything Dan said, I want you to text back Dan right now. Bleep you. That's what I want you to do.
Let me do that right
Do
now.
it.
Let's get the week off
And then
right.
tweet out the screenshot as proof.
Thread it.
I got a lot of fun plans this week. I'm gonna turn every segment that this show's ever had into a Chris segment. I got Chris's top 10. I got Chris's epic sound of the day. It's all coming later in the week, not today. I'm just saying, I got it all ready.
Oh, you're planning.
Is that because you're not ready with it?
I just thought of it.
That's how it's going to go.
So
If you had actually strategized, Pablo, this is something he could have thought of before right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for anything Chris does for the rest of the week.
That's fair.
So Chris has been left out of the Tahoe trip. So we should probably recap why I'm here, why there's this air of chaos. Because half the show is in Tahoe, right? Mike, Jeremy, and Stu are all in Tahoe doing what Chris, on some level, actually wanted to do.
Purportedly. We have no proof they're in Tahoe.
They
could
promised,
be in front of a green
promised us
screen.
hours of content this week.
Do we have that today?
Don't get me started on that. David, we sat here last week and we called them out. We're like, you guys are going to have a lot of content all week. You're going out Sunday. Mike's like, we got you all week. Guess what? Nothing today. Imagine that. Who said that last week? I was made to look like a fool. Remember, you were like, Chris, you had it wrong. Looks like I had it right.
And that's 20% of the week done without 1 minute of content. And supposedly they've been there for days already.
I know they got there yesterday. I saw Jeremy at a nice restaurant, the restaurant I've been to before. I'm not resentful.
Which one was it?
The restaurant's cheating on you with Jeremy and
Yeah.
Taché?
Yeah. Some lounge. I don't know. They all look the same. Some Elk Lodge or something. I don't know. That's not important where they were.
So Metal Arcade, there's people in Tahoe, and
Billy Gill. Where is Billy?
Billy Gill just had a child. He has a child. Our show can't produce a girl. It's weird. I mean, a boy. It's
Off to a blazing start.
and here we go.
All right.
So that's not who
right.
I was thinking of was the Billy Gill. There's
That
stuff-
was written on a whiteboard outside. I just want to be very transparent about that part, too. I was excited to get into that topic. And
maybe I should start drinking coffee because that's like the fourth time today that I've just said the wrong word. I'm tired, man.
Coffee's not going to help.
Yeah.
boy versus girl is what you think coffee will help?
Yeah, I did it earlier before the show. I kept saying yesterday when something was last week.
It was
I kept just
weird.
saying yesterday. It's weird. Just my mind's a little weird today. It's all right. We're going to be fine, though.
congrats to Billy,
Yes.
I think. Bury the lead on that. Amin and Charlotte are launching a new show that is on social media. Oddball, go follow it. They're doing that out of Vegas, and they are also abandoning us.
Well,
as a result.
not permanently out of Vegas.
Sorry, they're launching out of Vegas
Right.
Summer League, which we'll talk about presumably on this show.
No guarantees.
No guarantees. There are look, obviously, big substitute teacher vibes right now. Okay? David Sampson feels like my teacher's assistant who really wants to be the teacher. And I'm sitting here, and I just feel him wanting to impose structure upon me.
Well, I did send you a list of topics, and I wanted to get together and meet, and you had zero interest, as though that preparing was something that it did not, matter to you in terms of the show.
Oh, I
But sitting in the chair did.
Yeah.
That was like your main focus. Hey,
David was like, what chair do you want to sit in? He gave me 4 options. Can I give you David Sampson's options for how we were going to sit on the show today? Do you want, number 1, center chair all 4 days? Number 2, Monday/Wednesday. Number 3, Tuesday/Thursday. Number 4, no days. I chose option 1.
And that is well within your right, and I respected the choice, and I responded, done. Except when you're in the chair, it means you have to be willing to prepare.
But you giving all those options implies you wanted a couple days in that chair. I'm just going to say, I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
It's not even an antelope or the size of a maggot. I am very happy. I don't consider this Stugotz' chair anymore.
That's true. I mean, he's never in it.
I've been
I've
here for
noticed
weeks.
I have noticed that.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
So, speaking of things that involve people being left out of stuff, David Sampson, number 1 topic he sent me on that list of topics was inside information, intel, on this Michael Rubin white party. So you have an update. David Sampson has a Michael Rubin white party update.
Nowhere did I say in the topics that I was sad to be left out. That is an ad that you did that was gratuitous, that was not necessary. I'm not even sure I want to give you my updates now, because why would you introduce it that way?
I just know that you move in these circles, David. You're actually quite humble about the circles you move in. I just know that concentrically, that circle must have had some overlap with your actual real-life circles, such that you had intel and such that I made the extrapolation that David probably wanted to be at that party.
Do you know where I was during the party? The Elser. The worst plan
In the chair that
ever.
formerly belonged to Stugotz. Yes, you were in that one.
No, during the party, I'm not even in the chair. I'm sitting in the room in the Elser. So we spent some time talking about it while you were not here being helpful last week.
Mm-hmm.
And people were a little surprised as to what may need to happen to have a party like that and to produce videos like that. The preparation on site at his house starts months in advance. Not days, not weeks, months in advance. There is construction that takes place. There is a company called Merit Construction, who I happen to know very well.
Why?
Because I've used them before to the basement that you've seen.
Oh, what a basement.
They did that basement. They do everything related to things that happen in the Hamptons. And
I think we need more detail on that basement you've seen.
Yeah, we need more on that.
It's so this is where
Is it his bunker in case shit hits the fan?
It's not a safe room.
Okay.
It's definitely not a safe room.
This is where I want to be diplomatic
Go on.
because I believe that a condition of me visiting David Sampson's secret basement that was produced by this company that was also employed by Michael Rubin and therefore Beyonce, Jay-Z, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kevin Hart, Kylian Mbappe, et cetera, a condition was I can't really photograph or chronicle my experience in this basement, which is
So what actually happened is
thing.
you came to the basement and then posted pictures without asking, which that to me is a violation.
Instagram story update.
Are you allowed to
They
post
disappeared after
pictures?
15 seconds.
I thought it was 24 hours, and people can screenshot it.
I digress.
It's a cool basement.
It's a cool basement. It's full of stuff. Chris, what do you think is in David's basement?
David. David. I
What is
see
that
David as a
supposed to
fun
mean?
man. I got a couple swings down there.
Are you thinking Paul Giamatti?
No, like kid swings.
It's the opposite. There's no kids allowed. There's never been a kid in the basement.
See, the irony of there being no kids allowed in this basement is that it is the basement that I think a kid would design. because it is full of memorabilia and sports-inspired artwork, and there's a ping pong table and jerseys and bats. There are more baseballs in this basement that I've seen in any room anywhere on this planet.
No one needs Ricky Nolasco's first pitch from 2004.
It looks really good.
Are we allowed to
though.
talk about this?
It's a little late, isn't it?
Very good.
Was this on the topic list?
I walked into a room in David Sampson's house. I was admiring the basement, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like Ichiro, like a signed baseball. David's like, hold on. He brings me to another room. It is full of Ichiro signed baseballs.
He's like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but instead of like, I have baseball's Ichiro, I've got 7.
So no, the thing with Ichiro is that
Thingamabobs?
he is a very, very interesting man. And did you know that Pablo's favorite player is Ichiro?
I did know that
I
actually.
can tell.
I mean, it's a little racist, but proceed.
Wait, I never assumed that. You actually had to tell me he was your favorite player.
He is.
I thought it could have been like Rondell White.
He's very dignified and has almost a mysticism.
I've heard you talk. Maybe it was like a around the horn final minute
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, I've heard you talk about.
I
it before.
love Ichiro. I love Ichiro. I love everything about him. I love that he can throw 90 miles an hour. I love that he is like as skilled and as accomplished a player who showed up with all this pressure and was unbelievable. He had like this panther ass. Ooh.
That'd be funny.
He had
to
a-
stop
he had a
there.
panther
He had a
ass?
Panther ass.
Did you
Yeah, I mean,
ask?
Interesting.
I'm starting to say ask, but then I sort of just realized he does have a panther ass also.
I
It's
don't
very
know what a
leaf.
panther
What?
ass
Yeah. What
is.
does a panther ass look like?
Muscular, toned,
Thin?
lean.
Like a thin ass?
No, like sculpted but not obtrusive. I digress.
So I know that he loves Ichiro, and I wanted to give him a gift for all of the great partnerships that we have and will have. And I gave him,
Number 8 on the list of 9 balls signed by Ichiro.
no, something way more cool. Something that was given directly to me, and now we're making it public that I re-gifted it. Because it was given specifically to me by Ichiro. But Ichiro, and they do listen, Ichiro and his staff, who are amazing people, they listen to this show.
I just want Ichiro to know that a panther ass is a compliment.
I think you're going to need to do a little more.
Guys, we're out of time. We have to end this segment.
Oh, Dan texted me back. Quote. Dan texted me. Not a great assignment for you to start. All right, so Ichiro Then back to the white party. Ichiro, you have hoarded all of his baseballs from his career.
Not even close to all. Ichiro, we'd be in the clubhouse, and once a year, all of his sponsors would have a signing. I wish you had been there, Chris. You would have enjoyed it. They'd go to the food room, and Ichiro takes over the food room, and he signs about 6,000 items, all as part of his contractual obligations. And he does it all in one sitting. Doesn't get up. It's like the hot dog eating contest. There's waters that are given to him, different pens. There's an entire assembly line of people who are putting things in front and then removing it, and the piles go from one side of the room to the other. No one's allowed in the food room during these times. It is not used as a kitchen. It's used as his office, and it's unbelievable number of items that are signed, which doesn't make any of them cheaper or worth
Well, this
less.
is where David Sampson enters the economic picture. Because I believe that your control over such a significant percentage. How many baseballs do you have autographed by Ichiro, roughly? If you had to guess, David. And by the way, on David's individual baseball cases, you will not be surprised to know that he has printed out numbers and labels, and you have them all tracked.
Well, there's no tracking device on them, but they're in alphabetical order.
But you've also marked them so that you have a full inventory at all times.
You make that sound strange.
Well,
The Alfredo Amezaga's top left corner.
If I don't have an Alfred. Yes, Amezaga is top left.
but you have how many approximate?
I would say at least 50 signed Ichiro balls.
And that's how the market begins to improve for the Ichiro baseball, is that David Sampson is hoarding a significant percentage of that marketplace.
I cannot move the market on that, but I could move the market on things related to his 3,000th hit or to his 4,193rd hit. You know that Ichiro has the most hits of any player ever in baseball history, combining
of
the
course.
Japanese League and MLB. More than Pete Rose, which is pretty cool. And when he broke that record, he was a Marlin, and so he gave me the shoes and the batting gloves that were used during that.
And so, like Derek Jeter gave away gift baskets to the people who visited him, David Sampson sent me home with a care package of Ichiro memorabilia.
Do not love the inference there. We merely had lunch together.
But I had lunch. I saw this basement designed by the people that Michael Rubin hired to help produce his white party. And we have not even gotten to the intel that you promised me.
All of the bathroom talk that we had last week, it was all wrong. Not one guest got to use one bathroom in the house.
Beyonce did not get access.
Zero
to the master
access.
suite.
They just set up the nicest trailer.
No,
That's
they
like
went
a
in the
bathroom
pool.
trailer.
Nope. No pool.
No?
No trailer. They built bathrooms, as in constructed, not like the troughs. It was a full.
They didn't wheel in bathrooms.
They did not.
There were no wheels attached.
I assume wheels. Oh, attached to the actual bathrooms? No. That would be terribly gauche. You can't have people using wheeled bathrooms for fear they shall move.
I feel like that's a big criterion for how big a deal this party is, whether your bathrooms have wheels attached.
There are no bathrooms that ever have wheels attached. You can have the what's it called, the porta
Trailers.
potties.
Yeah, but I mean, trailer.
But those aren't on wheels.
Well, they're wheeled in, David.
They are wheeled in. No,
Trailers for sale or rent.
So I was disappointed. I needed to get to the bottom of it from last week. That's what bothered me, is I tried to say that Kevin Hart would not have had access to the master bathroom. And there was a whole discussion about who would have.
Correct.
And like any good host, the answer was nobody.
Wow.
Under any scenario.
I just can't believe that if Beyonce goes up to Michael midway through the party, is like, "Hey, I really need a moment." Go ahead, B.
It's part of the rules. There's rules. There's no bathroom sharing.
Can we do
Is
some
it
more?
Bay? Sorry.
Can we do some more Chris Cody talking to Beyonce?
Right this way, Bay.
Leading him right to the master, you think?
Zagak.
Nope. So in addition to building bathrooms,
Yes.
they also had to do foundational work for this party.
Meaning?
Meaning, it's not as though you call in a company and they add a tent. and you just pitch a tent, and then you hold it down with sandbags. If you've seen that at parties where the tents have a sandbag, and then they put in some air conditioning units. These were fully climatized structures that required, wait for it, permitting. This is not your average party. This is an entire
You're telling me they had unbagged tents?
unbagged. A lot of things. Lots of unbagging going on at that party.
A lot of bags. David, you would have not used the bathroom, right? At the party, you would have been like, I'm good. I'll just hold it and wait till I get home.
I would have, correct.
Really? You
got to check
out that bathroom.
Whoa, wait a minute. That
I would not.
We just described the pinnacle of ad hoc temporary bathroom installation, and that's not enough.
I'm 10 minutes away. It's like asking me if I've used the bathrooms in the studio. Not one time, and I've been here for weeks.
Attaboy.
By the way,
Not walked into
parking
them.
parking would be another question I had. As a result of you saying, "Oh, I just zip out, zip back in."
So
That
that
seems very annoying.
So
I imagine
5,000
helicopter valet.
Yeah,
Helicopters.
Chopper.
Yeah.
I would have arranged. I don't mind the walk when I go to parties. I always want to be first out, so I'm willing to park as far away. I don't need to be the car right there because it's always a traffic jam waiting to happen.
David, I see you as a first guy in, last guy out kind of thing at parties.
No,
Like a good quarterback. You're the first guy into the building, last guy out, helping people clean, taking the trash out, doing stuff like that.
I'm mostly a MIFO. I'm middle in and first out. That is how I like it to be. But I don't.
I'm sorry. Is that a term that you guys have heard?
It is now.
MIFO?
I've never heard it.
I thought it was a David thing. I was like, okay, cool.
Well, LIFO, FIFO, and MIFO.
If the girlies aren't saying it on TikTok, I don't know it.
Well, LIFO and FIFO.
Certainly not.
Never heard that until just now.
Never.
None of David. I just want to be very clear with you. None of us have any idea what the fuck you're talking about.
They were. It works though.
Oh, are we live?
Last in, first out.
No, we get it. We
When
get
you
it.
go
now
grocery
Now that
shopping-
you've explained it, we get it. But we're just saying we've never heard
Wait,
that
I
before.
googled
this.
it, and on Urban Dictionary it says MIFO, an acronym of which stands for maybe I am full of shit.
Maybe my Fos, no?
Urban
Yeah,
Dictionary.
there's an S at the end.
That is, I did not look in that before I said MIFO, but that is how I go to parties.
I have a feeling that Urban Dictionary was consulted quite a bit at the white party.
What?
Just a lot of white people translating what non-white people are saying by going to Urban Dictionary on their phones quietly, like in the line to this very
That
fancy
made me
bathroom.
miss Chris Whittingham. Wonder what he's up to.
What is Chris Whittingham up to?
I think he's dead.
Just living
No.
life,
You
man.
think he's what?
I don't know. Haven't heard from him since he left.
He's doing MLS games.
Oh, is that where
There's-
he went?
Yes.
Okay.
Just had an update about Chris Whittingham.
I'm lying.
Coyly.
I was texting him this morning, and he was telling me that the balls era is back because of the 3-inch inseam shorts, which we've known for a while. But there was a tweet that went viral this weekend of Bill Clinton and Al Gore in like 2-inch inseams, and Joe Biden went to the beach this weekend
Right.
apparently, and he had on, I think, 5-inch inseams, and it was like 5-inch inseams, 4% unemployment or something like that, and it got like a bajillion likes. And David has no idea what I'm talking about, but
An inseam?
inseams are getting smaller and smaller.
I just don't know the inches of my inseam.
Really?
Like for my shorts. Like I don't know.
You just
Everybody
go
knows
off
the
of the
inches.
eye test?
Yes.
If you stand up, I could tell you.
Yeah, yours are probably 9.
Above the knee is above the knee 9,
Above the knee's
below
about
the knee
7.
12.
Depends on
Above the
how
knee's about
long
8.
the femur is, but
Are these the pickpocket-proof inseams?
No, I wear all shorts are generally the same above the knee.
Oh.
I don't
about
like.
7.
for you, probably 7.
I believe short people should not wear shorts that are below the knee because it makes you look shorter.
I don't think anyone should wear shorts below the knee.
Shorts
That's
below the knee
very.
are out.
The 90s had the calf length basketball short era, and now I think we've all moved on and grown. The 2000s too. You're right.
I actually found I was at my parents' house over the weekend, and I was looking for a specific thing in like this big Tupperware that I put all my stuff in from back in the day, and I pulled out a pair of my jersey shorts, and they were like 12 feet long. I was like, are these pants? I was like, oh, I put them on, and they were shorts, and they went to my calf. It was a great, great, great era.
Who was your inspiration in that era, Tony?
I had the D Wade long leggings, like when they were
God.
banned, but I also had a knee surgery, so I was using that as a excuse.
I feel like you only put food in Tupperware. Like if you're putting clothes in it, call it something else.
It's a
I don't think he
plastic
meant
bin.
Tupperware. I think he meant a plastic bin.
Yeah, like a big
Right.
plastic bin, but it's made by Tupperware.
See?
That's just
Is
a
it-
big
That's the
ass
brand. Is
it's-
that like one of those things where it's like
Kleenex.
Tupperware's the brand? But
Yeah,
people
Tupperware
associate-
was one of those things like Mary Kay where women would go door to door and sell Tupperware to like housewives. It was like a early MLM thing.
There were Tupperware parties.
Multi-level marketing, but also
Tupperware parties.
Meadowlark Media.
Tupperware parties were a thing.
It's weird how those are the same initials.
Very coincidental how
Not
that
that
works.
coincidental.
But I feel like Tupperware is also like Xerox and Kleenex, insofar as it's just the brand that
Or
subsumed,
Ziploc.
or
Ziploc bags,
Yes,
yeah,
just
same thing.
subsumed the entire product line as a
Saran
category.
wrap.
Right.
I didn't
Man,
know Saran wrap.
How mad would you
It's like
be if
cling
you were
wrap.
the other Saran wrap brand?
I pretty mad, Pablo. That would be awful.
Currently Googling other Saran wrap brand.
I don't know that I can name one Saran wrap brand. Reynolds?
Jess said there's like this cling. There's one that's called.
I think it's just plastic wrap, right?
Oh.
It's a cling wrap. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
There's also Glad Press and Seal.
I hate
They
that
are
cling wrap
furious.
stuff. You try to like do it, and then all of a sudden it's like on your skin. It just
It's a
it clings
terrible
to
product.
everything. It's just
Yeah.
like I want it. It sounds perfect, like a bowl of something. I want to cover it nicely, and it gets all like.
The technology of the mechanism that cuts it has not improved in 20 years.
And it's sharp.
It doesn't work. And it breaks, and then you have a whole roll of plastic wrap, and you have to wait until you use all of it, and you're trying to rip it in half, cut it with scissors, and it just doesn't work. But you can't throw it away because you feel bad.
I would like the video team to take the video of Chris pantomiming fighting like saran wrap and put a techno beat to it, please. I believe that is a lot like Chris Cody at a rave.
Let's go to break.
So some people may be mad that I'm going to talk about this white party still because they feel like it's old. I think it's so
Yes, me.
interesting. It's no, but Jess, it's ironically you are dressed like a person who would attend the white party today.
I'm wearing a white shirt.
Yeah, the pants are not.
That's part of the standard that we need for this party.
I believe this party.
guess.
I believe this party, David, is like brilliant business development. I think that Michael Rubin, by having all of these people on social media with him, has now essentially bought the credibility of somebody who is trusted by the most famous and influential people in the world. And whatever it costs, and it seems like this was a project that took how long in all?
Months and millions.
Like
two M's, M&M's.
Like this was not a superficial, like my super sweet 16. This was actually, I think, a savvy business move that actually makes me look askance at like how strategic every level of this was.
It's sort of like the Vanity Fair Oscar party.
Yes.
These things are not done by accident. Elton John, when he hosts parties, here's the benefit to fanatics. And it's all a write-off. We should point out that I'm sure people will get upset by that. He will count this as a business expense.
But
Single thing.
He can play the clip that I just said
And
to justify it.
Can you now calling my first witness during my audit, Pablo Torre. Remember that time on LeBatard Show where you said it was a great business idea?
It's deductible.
It's all deductible. Every penny that he spent. And now he's put himself in a position where, while the construction takes months, and he loses the enjoyment of his house during the course of construction because it's that serious an amount of construction, he's got to do it again and again. And he's doing it. Do you think that they all got a free way, let's say, to do some sports betting? Do you think there's any connection to PointsBet? Do you think that there's any possible Fanatics gear that was anywhere located in that party?
No. I do not think there was like a table where it's like, here, come get your autographed.
Come get a
Mo
Marlins
Vaughn.
hat.
Mo Vaughn
There
picture.
wasn't a basement full of memorabilia for people to
There
just
was
come get stuff?
absolute business connections going on at the party.
Oh, for sure. I'm with you that it's a business thing. Like, he's there, like, massaging relationships. But I don't think that he had, like, a whole setup and there was two people from Fanatics like, hey, Tom Brady, come here. You want to look at this? Like, I think it's above that.
I bet you there's not one person. When you say above that, you go to the Oscars and you get $100,000 worth of free gifts. People, rich, famous people love getting free stuff.
What could I possibly give Kevin Hart, like, from a Fanatics thing that he would... I guess like something from Philly. He's a Philly guy.
You can give him any number of items that he would then give to his handlers.
But he's hanging out with Joel Embiid. Like, what can I give you more than Joel Embiid being right there?
But Chris,
here, also take this hat.
This is I love David Sampson rich splaining to Chris Cody what it's like to be a rich person. Because David has a point in that rich people get free stuff to a degree that is offensive given that they don't need or want any of it, but they're still getting it.
I can relate to this not because I'm a rich person, but the more like big time your podcasts get, the more brands send you free stuff. Where like if I got a free T-shirt like 7 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, this is sick, a free T-shirt. And now I'm like, I don't need any more T-shirts. Please stop.
Yes.
Except for home field, you can still send me the Notre
They have
Dame.
good shirts.
But you
from a few
give
days
the
ago.
stuff away to people
Yeah,
who aren't getting
I
it.
mean, I have a million like random things that people send me that I give to my friends, but it's all like T-shirts
No.
and sweatshirts. It's not like a Cartier bracelet or whatever like
But
people are getting at
eventually
the Vanity Fair party.
Eventually it will be.
But it is true. Like the more visible you are on social media, the more people send you stuff, and the less you need it.
It's like being at a basketball game and the T-shirt cannons come out, and everybody, like in the upper bowl, is dying for those T-shirts, and they're just launching them at the courtside people who don't really care.
I caught a XXL Knicks T-shirt once from the upper level, by the way. So snagged it out of thin air. It was like the highlight of my entire year, and I never wore the shirt because it was way too big.
I get so scared anytime a T-shirt or anything gets flung into the upper deck. It scares me. I just like think someone that's like near.
Oh, it's gonna tumble.
Yeah. That's like a fear. Any sporting event, anytime something is projected up top, I'm like, oh no, I'm not looking. I don't want to see it. I'm just imagining the horror.
We got sued once by someone who got hit in the upper deck
Bye.
by a flying, whether we were doing hot dogs or T-shirts or something, and it became a thing where there was a league-wide memo sent that we had to put a governor, like in go-karting, when you have to put a governor so the go-karts don't go so
Stop
fast.
putting nitro into your hot dog cannon.
Into your cannon.
No, that happened to the Royals a couple years ago. A woman got hit with a hot dog from their hot dog launcher, and she sued them.
Those kind of suits, they don't win. You can do a little settlement, maybe a couple G, because you don't want to spend the lawyer's fees. But when you buy a ticket to a game,
She had a detached retina.
I agree, not ideal.
That's why the Phillies, I think they put their hot dog cannon now like in the middle of center field. You know, like back in the day, it would be like along the warning track where you could fire them. Like now they want to keep the distance, so they're shooting them from basically just behind second base.
These machines are too powerful. I do believe that the technology of the T-shirt cannon has become like intercontinental ballistic missile level.
It is directly correlated to the sound that it makes, the thump, right? The bigger the sound, the further they go. And there was a time where we were being presented during the off season with new technology of how we can shoot stuff even harder and further.
What innovations? Wait, as Chris Cody is pantomiming, is that archery you want?
No, the slingshot.
He was like, "What is the thing where you like bring it back?"
I was
and
like,
then you,
why
let
do
it
we
go?"
need this like electronic gun? Like, just give me the old fashioned. I guess because it's manpower. Like, it's 3 people you need because 2 people have to hold, and then the third person is the slingshotter.
You want to return to medieval warfare?
I don't know if I'm thinking of Heat games, maybe Marlins, like something from my childhood. That's the way they used to do it. They would have this little slingshot, and that's how they would get the shirts into the crowd.
Before cannons, it was all slingshot.
Right,
Slingshots.
Bring back the slingshot.
Some catapults, maybe.
But you're paying 3 people as opposed to putting the cannon on a backpack.
How expensive is that? Like electronic?
$50 a game?
That gun, though.
You know what I always found sad? It's the promotion where they release like hot dogs from the ceiling with like parachutes. Have you ever seen those?
Oh, where did they have that?
The Heat used to do that with T-shirts. Like all of a sudden, it'd be T-shirts floating down from the rafters.
Yeah, that one feels just a little bit like colonial power, just sort of like distributing goods and services.
I think the
to
Heat
needy
did
people.
tickets at one point, like in the mid 2000s, a long time ago. There would be just like a 2-pack of tickets just float. You could get in a fight over that.
Would you eat a hot dog out of a hot dog cannon?
Yes,
That's a good question.
I would.
wouldn't. I
They're
wouldn't.
wrapped,
I would.
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
they're
wrapped.
Are they still
Hold
warm?
on, hold on.
David, I'm just making
Wait,
sure.
wait,
You never
wait.
know.
Are they still warm?
You think it's like loose?
Do you?
It's just a hot dog?
I just gotta point something out. Once you're in on eating a hot dog, you really gotta lower your threshold of expectation for like what's been up with this hot dog before you got it. Whether it's warm, whether it's on a silver platter. I once saw somebody eat a hot dog out of a New York hot dog stand cart that had fallen onto the ground. The guy wiped it with a plastic bag and then returned it into the water.
How many seconds?
So you're saying basically anyone that's willing to eat a hot dog just gives up all right to be picky about it?
Yes. Yes. The nature of the hot dog is a bunch of stuff in a cylinder.
Yeah, I don't eat hot dogs, and I don't have a 3-second or 5-second rule. It's a 0-second rule. But they do come wrapped, but they come hard, and they come fast.
Hell yeah.
And you have to be paying attention for fear that you could split your retina.
I want the example, David, because I know you're a big germaphobe, so like if it touches the ground, you're not eating it. Give me the example of the most pain you felt of something you've dropped where you wanted it so badly that you almost thought for a second, it's the last of this, it's a piece of this that I'm not going to eat this for a while. Have you ever been so wanting something that you actually almost decided to eat it after it fell?
Not one thing. There's nothing that you can't get another one of, and there's nothing that you can't
No, hold
do
on. But
without.
what if it's the last one?
Like
you
in
can't
the
get
world,
another one. Yeah.
There's no other cookie or piece of lettuce or cheese or
So hold
turkey.
on. Let me explain something. So you're gonna bake some nice cookies, right? One of those cookies, the last cookie that you want, is gonna fall. It's 11 o'clock at night. You're gonna leave the house to go buy more cookies to then bake one cookie so you can have the one cookie.
I've got a backup plan. No, I'm going to eat something else then. I know exactly what you mean because there are times when I need something and I'm counting on that last one and then it falls and I've got to change the brain chemistry to want something else.
Powerful.
It takes practice. A lot of practice. So the whole hot dog thing and the whole cannon thing, the reason it bothers me more is that it's a technological improvement that doesn't get people to come to games, doesn't get people to buy tickets. It doesn't get people to enjoy their experience anymore. There's no upside to it at all that we could ever measure.
You're saying these are like the vanity muscles of in-arena entertainment. Don't do anything. Just there to look bigger.
They come to you every year with what they want to do. They have new and improved thoughts or ideas of ways to entertain during half innings or during timeouts, etc.
Why isn't that a show? Can there just be Shark Tank for people trying to make better hot dog cannons?
Or better general entertainment.
What do you remember being pitched, David, where you were like, for this reason, I am out?
They were on dugout dances. I didn't like on dugout. People like to be on the dugout because they're closer to the fans. And when you're on the field, you're further, so you have a harder time engaging. But the players would always complain to the owner because they'd hear it on the top of the dugout, and it annoyed them. And they couldn't see them. And they wanted to engage with the dancers, etc. But
that seems like two separate concerns.
The mermaids.
The mermaids, and I don't know, are you old enough to remember when we had the big men?
Manatees.
The manatees?
I don't know what you're talking about.
They would have a bunch of
big dudes
grown,
dancing.
big overweight guys go out there. They call them the Marlins manatees. It was like, it's kind of like, old the Heat
golden
doing the
oldies.
oldies.
Yep,
They did it for larger men.
Yep.
And they would just get out there and just start dancing.
Start jiggling.
They became celebrities.
I doubt that.
No, they were very well known by people who came to games and people they'd make appearances for us. They were great. And then it got to the point where our owner did not want it anymore because he felt it was being exploitive.
Who's the most famous of the manatees?
I just like the idea that at some point said owner was like woke about this.
Not the mermaids. Not woke about that. But woke about the manatees.
So, Dave, you guys would send out Jack McKeon and the manatees to go do community things because nobody else wanted to do it.
No, players always like doing community stuff, actually. But people wanted to see manatees. They wanted to see mermaids. We went and visited troops with mermaids and with Andre Dawson. And troops were way more interested in the mermaids.
Shocking.
Andre Dawson?
Shocking.
Andre Dawson, Jeff Conine, Logan Morrison, John Buck. And they were all focused
Logan
on...
Morrison? Lobo?
Yes. I found it to be heartening that the troops were so excited to engage with our mermaids.
God bless America. So much is happening today. I do want to be very, very self-serving and say, go to www.pablo.show. I'm launching a show. Amin and Charlotte have a new show that's launching this week. My show is launching later this summer. Go to that website. It is free. I implore you.
It sounded like you just said,
what?
and me and Charlotte. You said Amin and Charlotte. You made it seem
sounded
like
like you
for a
and
second,
Charlotte
I have
have
this
a
show and me and Charlotte. That's almost what it sounded
No, it's
like.
okay. You just need more practice, like speaking on a mic. You'll be fine.
Go again. I'd like you to start that over because this is an important moment for Metalark with everything happening, and
I
you really butchered it.
hate all of you. www.pablo.show. Okay. We were just talking about medieval weaponry coming back for T-shirt cannon technology. I want to talk about the Las Vegas orb in this context because there's this phenomenon that I've been noticing everywhere on the internet, and it's sort of referred to as medieval peasant brain. The guy who claims that maybe that woman who saw that fake person on a plane, maybe that person, maybe she saw something. Maybe something else is deeper going on here. I believe that the reason why people are fascinated by this giant orb in Las Vegas, David, this giant spherical screen that costs billions of dollars, that's sitting on the Las Vegas Strip, I believe we are into it because of medieval peasant brain. Because it's literally a giant...
I think you just said Chinese.
A giant shiny
This is
orb.
going terribly, Chris.
More practice. You'll be okay.
Can we start?
Shiny. There it is.
We're live right now.
Very good.
So no, we can't start over.
Okay. This is Jim Dolan.
I hate this orb.
Because it's Jim Dolan?
I didn't know that. Now I hate it even more.
This is... Will you hate it when U2 is performing live there starting in September?
I didn't know that either. So this is a James Dolan MSG
This is
thing?
owned by James Dolan.
How does that work? How did he get a spot in the Las Vegas Strip to put a giant orb?
He bought land and wanted to build another arena which would host events, and it happens to be the type of arena that is what that is. It's just an LED board. It's the same thing that we have in studio, but ours is 3 TVs next to each other. That's all the Sphere is. The entire outside is one LED board that they program to do whatever they want with. And what's not getting enough attention is the distraction that this is for drivers and my concern over death that will take place by people looking at this War of the Worlds thing
being
right in front of them.
Obsessed like a medieval peasant with this thing. Like, this is how people reacted when they first looked at the moon. And now we're just entranced by it. But we've all seen this. We've all seen a version of this. It's a giant screen with stuff on it. Like, that looks like a terrible Photoshop. Why is this cool? Why is a giant basketball on the horizon
I'm driving
cool?
into a basketball. Whoa!
What are we doing here? It's 2023.
I don't get why people think we can't drive by things. Yeah. People drive by the beach all the time. You look at it, you drive. You look at it, you drive. It's possible. It's going to be fine.
The beach is always to your left or right or in front of you. It's a big horizon.
And just like this thing will either be on your right or left.
It would be like driving to Miami on 95, and all of a sudden there's this huge screen where it's not the billboard where you normally find billboards. This is an entire building that doesn't look like it belongs. Tony, are you at all with me on the distraction?
Dave, it's Vegas, though. Like, you drive by the Strip, and there's things to look at in Vegas on the Strip, so you're kind of looking around. And the other thing, too, it's an eyesore now, but once you start driving in it, you forget it's there. It's like the sun. Driving into the sun sucks. And there was a drive, Chris remembers this, on the causeway where you're driving at like 7:30 in the morning, and the sun is directly in your eye, and you can't see the lights. You can't see anything, so you're just driving, hoping, all right, I'm not going to hit anything, but I don't know. And at some point, you just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, we'll look at the data in a few months, and James Dolan will, of course, take no responsibility for it if something bad does happen. But, I mean, I get your point, because it is moving and, like, flashing, and they're displaying images on it. But I think it's smart because this whoever designed it knows what is popular and what catches the attention.
Yes.
Things that get photographed
Yes.
and posted on the internet. That's what gets people's attention. Things that you can be like, look, I saw the orb.
You would be shocked at who's in charge of what goes on the orb. So there's a control room. It's like when you close a roof of a retractable roof building, it's actually just a button that you press. Like, there's just people who are being paid probably $40,000 a year who sit in a room and program in what the orb is going to
I
be.
thought you were going to say like Henry Kissinger or something.
When
Like
they
you
st-
would be shocked if you knew who was
That
behind this.
It's not. It's people are making decisions that are
It's
not.
just some guy.
It's some person.
When they start showing episodes of Ozark, then I'll be concerned. Okay.
Episodes of Ozark?
I'm just
It
saying
could
that would be
happen.
distracting. If I'm driving down, it's like, oh, what happened? Like,
I mean, there's billboards that have moving things on them, right? So I don't think there's that big of a difference.
I think that a billboard that's moving is usually either it's up to the left, or sometimes it's eye level, but it's not the size. I think that we're underestimating how big this building
Should I
is.
go to Vegas and look?
Yeah, why can't we ask Amin whether he and Charlotte are distracted?
I believe, David, that you have a great point simply because the number of people who've been photographing the orb itself is clearly a traffic hazard. The number of people who are taking out their phones to photograph a giant circle with some stuff on it has been dismaying to me as a human being who thought that our standards for what we're impressed by had risen, and they have not.
It's going to turn into an advertising revenue situation.
Of course. Like, it's going to be, like, now it's literally already that. It's a giant NBA orange basketball that says Summer League on it. And the next version of it will probably be, yes, some sponsored content.
Summer League by Kia.
how much to get www.pablo.show on there?
Oh, wait a minute. Yo, we got to hack this orb.
Yo.
We got to hack
They're only making
this
$40K
orb.
a year, so we can convince them.
Bribe them at least.
We're spread very thin this week. I don't believe we have the resources to hack the orb right now.
If we can get $45K out of the
Dan were
Meadowlark
here,
budget.
he would be stuck on this for the next 3 weeks. So I think in his homage, we should similarly devote resources to something that we probably won't
To
get
talking about hacking it or actually hacking it?
done. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
I mean, the dude got billboards about LeBron and got in trouble for it at ESPN. So
This is the orb, though. It's totally different.
It's not for sale. Billboards, you can just anybody
but wait,
can
it
call
is for
up and get a
sale.
billboard.
Didn't you just say there'd be ads on it?
But it's done through Dolan.
so
Billboard companies you can call.
we have to charm Jim Dolan.
And that's going to be difficult.
So U2 is opening this thing?
Yes,
It's not JD in the straight shot?
it is. They're doing a residency.
I think they're straight shooters, no?
I think it's straight shot.
Straight shot.
It's the straight shot.
I don't know if people are not excited about you two doing this, but
I'm not.
I don't think anyone's been excited about U2 since Apple put their album on everyone's iPhones without consent.
That non-consensual album was, I think, the
that
turning point.
I think that was a real. I'm dead serious. I think there was a real turning point. There was a lot of benevolence towards Bono and U2 before that, and then everyone was like, "What? Why is this on my iPhone?" And it plays every
For
time
years,
I turn on music.
I thought I just butt downloaded that. Or Pocket, whatever it's called. I thought I had that by accident. I'm like, why do these U2 songs keep playing? I must have downloaded this by accident, and it's
and it
apparently on
started
all
with
phones.
the album started with an A, didn't it? So it was like the first album on everyone's iTunes.
do they
for a
add it to your
while.
playlists or just as recently downloaded?
Apple Music, just at one point, it was just there.
I still think that they're selling out, which they are.
U2.
They sold out the Sphere. You cannot get tickets. And
I took it as
Oh,
U2
not
has gone
selling
corporate.
out.
I was like,
No.
yeah, when they put the phone thing, album thing on.
It's a huge get to open your building with a residency in Vegas by U2.
in like 2006.
Who likes U2?
18,000 people every day for a month.
But I just never met. I've never met somebody, and they're like, my favorite band's U2.
It does strike me as a good Vegas residency band where, like, if you're in Vegas and you want to see a show, you're like, oh, you too. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't spend my money on it, but I think there's an older demographic that's like, oh, that's a good
Give me
time.
Celine Dion any day of the week over them.
So in 2014, 500 million iTunes users found the U2 album "Songs of Innocence" had been added to their iTunes library, and Apple and U2 viewed it as a free gift.
Are you thinking of a different album? Because you said it was an A album.
I thought it was called Age of Innocence, but I might be thinking of something else.
That's a Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Whoopsie daisy. It's a quote from Gangs of New York. Tried to think of it last week when
The
you asked
Foreign Horse.
if I knew who Daniel Day-Lewis was, and I finally remembered it. Whoopsie daisy.
So it wouldn't be at the top of your playlist. It would be at the top of your recently downloaded
Can we
list.
talk about the Vegas residency as an institution, though? Because the NBA has a Vegas residency now. Usher, Celine Dion, the Backstreet Boys, U2, and NBA Summer League are all Vegas residencies. And it seems to be brilliant. It seems to be working brilliantly, David.
the business of the Summer League is an incredible change. Really, it used to be nothing. People didn't care about the Summer League.
What percentage of that pie chart, though, is just people wanting to go to Vegas?
Oh, I think it's the broadcast.
Because I feel like that's all the media is just like, yeah, I'll go to Vegas for 3 weeks. Yeah, sure.
It's actually the gambling and the broadcast.
No,
People are gambling on Summer League games now.
Pablo, I'm curious because you worked at Sports Illustrated covering the NBA a while ago, and my recollection when I worked at Sports Illustrated was that Summer League was not an assignment people wanted.
No.
You wanted to stay wherever, like in New York or wherever you were in the summer, not travel to the desert where it's 120 degrees and cover games that no one really cares about. And it was like, reporters were kind of like, there's some media in town, there's some agents in town, and that's usually when deals are getting done. But it's not like a fun place to be in July. But this seems to have changed over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, back in our day, Jess, like this was not an assignment that I wanted. And it was in part because they weren't advertising the greatest prospect in the history of the NBA as a guy who also had a Vegas residency. Like, come see the Victor Wembanyama show was not a pitch. Come see the LeBron James show was not a pitch. You would hold those guys out, or you would use them in such a way that it wasn't meant to be this giant attraction. And so now it does feel like there is the basketball side of things where you see these guys and they're being showcased and platformed in ways that are actually interesting to basketball analysts. But then the stuff around it, the broadcast rights and the gambling and the fact that they were selling out the Thomas and Mack Center for these games. Like, that was absolutely not happening.
They used to be played in ballrooms, I bet. That's how little it mattered, the Summer League, and now it's an entire league. This used to be the time of baseball. This was the All-Star break. Everybody's focused on MLB, and now Adam Silver squirmed his way in, and now we're talking Summer
Look at
League.
us. We
haven't mentioned it.
We just mentioned Summer League and the home run derbies tonight.
This was also a huge sports weekend. I mean, Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, British Grand Prix.
UFC
and
290.
We started it with David's baseball collection.
My collection is worthy of discussion. But Djokovic won.
Who?
Exactly.